Welcome, Ram Madhav on Organiser platform. I'm fortunate enough to have conversations on various occasions on various national and international issues. But today we are going to focus mainly on Ram Madhav as an author who have articulated two important themes through his books. One, the non-Western paradigm, the Hindutva paradigm, which is in a way a tribute to Deen Dayal ji and Ekatma Manav Darshan. And secondly, the New World Order. So, Ram Madhav ji, you have been a keen observer of international order, international politics, geostrategic. And it's quite some time that you wrote a book on the Hindutva paradigm. Now the situation has changed a bit. Would you like to revisit it now?
Hindutva paradigm, as you rightly said, was based on Deen Dayal Upadhyayji's integral humanist philosophy. That part is true. But in that book itself, it was actually the thesis of my doctorate. So in that book itself, I discussed about the various new changes that are taking place in the world. And given the new situation, how much of it is relevant today, how much of it can be made relevant today. Unfortunately, what happens with us in India is we have two very big problems. One is, as a people, we are very romantic. We have great pride in our past. We ad nauseam remember about whatever happened right from the time of Vedas until before us. But today, as we stand in this new situation, in the light of our great experience and all that, what needs to happen, and that we are very silent. So at one level, we are very romantic. The other level, we are very lethargic. Now remember, these words are not my words. Swami Vivekananda had studied 110 years ago or 120 years ago in 1896. When he was confronted by a participant in one of his lectures in London, who asked him, "Sir, you gave such a great speech about the greatness of your religion, your culture, etc., etc. If your religion is so great, your Vedas are so great, your civilization is so great, why is your country like this? Why are you a slave country? Why are you an illiterate country? Why are you a backward country?" Vivekananda did not expect that question. He suddenly stayed silent for a minute. Then he said, "My friend, what you are saying is very true. My culture and my civilization, my value system, my wisdom is very great. But what can I do? My people are very lethargic." We have to now understand the new world correctly. Try and see if our own wisdom has anything to, anything to contribute to this new world. I'm so sorry to say that on that front, very little happens. We only harp on our great past. Before you ask the other question, let me give you an answer to your next question probably. Do you know that World Economic Forum, 21st century panacea for all economic ills that were created by 20th century Economic Forum? Whatever troubles, challenges that the world of economy faces today is because of Davos. But today Davos only is again giving solutions to it. It's actually a contract for them. We all assume that they will give solutions. Those solutions may become problems in 5 years from now again. We don't mind. But today they give you the solution. So the problems that they created because of their policies 20 years ago, they are giving solutions to it. The latest solution, they gave it to you. If I tell you, you will be laughing. They said, what we want in 21st century for all the corporates, all the businesses, all the economic activity is what is called stakeholder capitalism. Now, it sounds very novel, very new idea. You know what is stakeholder capitalism? They say, until now, we told our industry, our investor community, that take care of the interests of your shareholders. But in the new era, it's not enough. You should not only limit yourself to your shareholders. You also have to think about the larger stakeholders. What is that larger stakeholders? It involves society, it involves environment, it involves ordinary people, it involves your city, it involves your town. This is our idea of dharma kartrutva. This is the very quintessential ekatma manava darshan idea. But we never articulated in a manner that would be relevant to the present times. Now, World Economic Forum is same thing. They are putting it in a very different language. They are calling it stakeholder capitalism, and they say that it has metrics. They have divided 4 metrics. What are the 4 metrics? Same things: people, community, nation, environment. What is integral humanism? Problem is, we are very lethargic on that front. We are not ready to reinterpret these things. I highlighted this fact in my thesis also. It is time that whatever relevant things are there in those great ideas, that have to be made relevant to the current times. Otherwise, it will just remain a romantic thesis. We keep harping about the ideology. We talk about 4 lectures, but nothing is applicable.
You are in a way right, because in terms of ideas for last around 300 years, it is the Western paradigms that have influenced some or the other way. To this particular thesis, you also call it the non-Western paradigm. Where do you see the possibility of non-Western paradigm? Because when Deen Dayal ji spoke about Ekatma Manav Darshan, it was more about in the context of capitalism versus communism. But that era is gone now. We are in a different world, post-globalization, post-modernization, post-colonization. So where do you see the possibility of reconnecting that ancient wisdom and presenting it for the global challenges? In a way, you spoke about building brand Bharat in your new book also about this.
Oh yes, a lot of scope is there. If only we shed this lethargy, if only we really work hard on building models. As I said, again, our biggest difficulty is we are great armchair theorists. When it comes to actually converting it into a model, we don't want to do that hard work. For example, today, some of our, I think most of our people here are from the Parivar background, at least majority of you. We have objection to ideas like secularism, socialism in our constitution because they are Western ideas. May I say, is democracy not a Western idea? Do you know, last 500 years, ideas, majority of them came only from Europe. All the ideas we talk about today, whether it is human rights, whether it is secularism, whether it is, even climate consciousness related ideas, most of them, their birthplace has been Europe. Europe has given so many ideas. I would say the last idea that we contributed, last original idea that we contributed was Gandhi's non-violence and satyagraha, ahimsa and satyagraha. Beyond that, we have not contributed anything. Now we want these Western ideas to go. I also want them to go. But then are we really serious about working on the alternatives? For example, Deen Dayal ji and Gandhi ji both said that democracy as it is practiced in the West, in Europe, is alien to India. That doesn't mean we are anti-democracy. We are more democratic. This is what Ambedkar says in the constitution. Our whole ancient Sangha system, Buddhist Sangha system, was very democratic. Our republics, do you see that in Chanakya serial? When Chanakya goes and approaches the republics on the borders for standing up with the Maurya Empire, they say, no, first of all, we have to have a meeting and we have to take a collective decision. And that decision has to be 100% consensus has to be there, that we should stand by the Mauryas. Then only we will be ready to do it. That kind of democracy existed in India much before democracy as an idea originated in Greece or maybe in Europe later. But Gandhi and Deen Dayal both said that India should have its own version of democracy. It's another matter. In Constituent Assembly, there was not much debate over it. It's a long story, but I can only say one thing. At one point in Constituent Assembly, there was a proposal that why not we start our preamble with by invoking Gandhi's name. We, the people of a country which has given leaders like Gandhi, something like that. 3-hour discussion happens. Finally, all of them together decide, no, we should not have Gandhi's name in our preamble. You know the reason they give? They say that you put Gandhi's name in the preamble, tomorrow there will be a lot of discussion about where is Gandhi in the constitution. Gandhi's name is there. Where are Gandhian ideas in it? So there will be a lot of confusion. Then J.B. Kriplani stands up and requests the member, I request you with folded hands, please withdraw your proposal. That time you could have decided. Gandhi and Deen Dayal said, democracy in India should mean consensus building. Could we have developed a model which could have created greater consensus in running the government? Now you may say, how is it possible, sir? It is possible. Australia follows a system called referendum. Any major act will go before the people for referendum. Their model. I'm not saying you should have referendum only, but have we invested in that to create Indian model? We always, Gandhi and Deen Dayal insisted on decentralization of powers. Have we invested in that? Decentralization means, initially in the Constituent Assembly, the mood was, no, let us have strong center, including Parampojani Guruji, for that matter. He insisted that we should have a unitary form of government. We went for it because there was partition, there were communal rights, there was instability, there was a fear that if you give too much freedom, there can be disintegration. But have we worked on it later? I can give you one example. Finally, we had that 73rd, 74th Amendment of Rural Development. But I tell you, because in politics, I dealt with state governments. It's just an eyewash. No powers, only money. They give money, but money is given. I don't want to name the state. One state, small state, was given particular funding for building toilets in all villages. They built toilets. One village converted the toilets into cow sheds. Village did it. When we had our government, new government, I asked our minister, why it happened? He said, sir, they needed cow shed badly, but the sanction was for toilets. What can we do? We use toilets money to build cow sheds. But if village wants cow shed, why are you giving them toilet? The problem is, what you call as decentralization is decentralization of funding, not decentralization of planning. Can we build a system where you empower lower units? Your state should be empowered. Your district should be empowered. Your city should be empowered. Your village should be empowered. Can you demarcate powers to them? We did it in one state. Let me just in one line say that. In Jammu and Kashmir, we tried it. We could not successfully. We gave 3 things to villages and local units, village or town, local unit. Fund that Government of India gives. Functions, we give functions. We said these functions are your functions. Third, we give power to appoint functionaries. Funds, functions, functionaries. Give these 3 to villages now. Give these 3 to cities now. Now you may say, Deen Dayal ji ne kaha hoga, Gandhi ne kaha hoga, abhi kaisa sambhav hai? Do you know how much power city mayors enjoy in America? They can stand up to Donald Trump. In certain matters, can forget about mayor, can our district authorities stand up to your leadership? We need to work on these models because we are not ready. We are too busy in other things, very lethargic. We are happy that there's some Modi ji, as long as he is there, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay because he is a very hard-working man. He understands the country well. He will do it. But where are the systems for future? So on those things we can definitely do. So that's why Deen Dayal Upadhyayas or Gandhis both actually have a lot of similarities. They are not very irrelevant today. Certain things may be probably not applicable, but those relevant things also need to be made contemporary. They have to be contemporaneous today. For that, a lot of work has to happen. That doesn't happen in our country, unfortunately.
There is another context. I absolutely agree. Academically and intellectually, it is a challenge to recontextualize and contemporize either Deen Dayalji's ideas or Gandhiji's ideas. But you have been writing and talking a lot about the changing geopolitics and geostrategic situation right now. In fact, in your new book, World Order, New World Order, you have talked about the fundamental changes that are happening. In context of those changes, where do you see India and Indian original ideas can contribute?
So uh, we need to now, first of all, emerge as a strong country before we give certain ideas to the rest of the world. A weak country, a country that is struggling with its own challenges, cannot really give any models to the world. In that sense, first of all, the first priority for India for next 10 to 15 years should be to build a very strong country. In that, I said four things are necessary. We have to build a very, really a united Bharat, Sangatit Bharat. Second, we have to build a very prosperous Bharat. When I say prosperous, this is not any Western idea. Anand is very much an Indian idea. When I say Anand, it's not about Paralaukik Anand in the afterlife. No, it's the happiness in this life. What is Sarve Sukhinas Santu? What is Sarve Santu Niramaya? What is Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu? Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu means everybody should enjoy goods in life. You should have a car, you should have a good house, good family, good life. But the operational word is Sarvepi, everybody. In order for everybody to be happy, probably everybody who has got lot of it should share it with others. That is our Indian idea. But everybody has to reach a level of happiness which gives him happiness in this life and also encourages him to lead towards the happiness in other life. Now, that kind of prosperity we have to create, strong Bharat we have to secure, Bharat we have to create, and ethical Bharat we have to create. Once we achieve this, then Bharat will be in a position to offer many things to the world. For example, today, as I said, for economic ideas, economic challenges in the world, who created the challenges? Western powers. But who are giving the solutions? Again, they are giving solutions. You are accepting it. Take the case of ecology challenges, ecological challenges. Who created ecological challenges? Who created climate destruction? Who did climate destruction? It is the Western powers. And who are giving solutions through COPs? COP 30 होने वाला है ब्राजील में. Same big leaders from Western powers, European powers, they will come and give you advices. What needs to be done? Why not India think that on climate, I will take the lead. I will host in my Kumbh Mela Global Climate Summit. What is Kumbh Mela? Kumbh Mela is about how you look at your nature, how you treat your waters, how you treat your rivers, how you look at your entire climate. That is Kumbh Mela. And Kumbh Mela is supposed to be the place of ideas. Kumbh Mela began thousands of years ago when the rishis wanted to come together to deliberate on what needs to be done for the contemporary society. It was the land, it was the place to ideate. But Kumbh Mela को हमने केवल एक स्नान करने का कार्यक्रम बना दिया है. Why not India take the lead and say every Kumbh Mela? In India, luckily, every 3 years Kumbh Mela happens. Do a COP every 3 years. Give new ideas. But हमारे पास वो प्रयास नहीं होता है. So, today, India needs to really seriously think about playing that role. There is, today, some debate began about civilizational states. Now, the civilizational state idea is very Indian idea. We have been saying that the Western nation-state model, maybe it applies to nations that have small history, 300 years, 400 years. They were created out of racial identities, out of certain royal, lineage, and all those things. That doesn't apply to big countries like India, or for that matter, many countries in Africa. The nation-state model was imposed on Africa. When Africa was divided into 50 different states, 57, 56 different states, no single African leader was there when the division happened, do you know? But Africa was divided. Just they created some lines and said, this is this country, this is that country. The result is, until today, Africans are fighting amongst themselves. They were killing every year, every day, every month. They were civilizational nations. We should have allowed those nations to grow as civilizational nations. We should have championed that idea of nationhood which is civilization based. We never did it. But you know who is doing it now? China is doing it. China has a new program which they announced in 2022, Global Civilizations Initiative. Now, when they hosted Global Civilizational Initiative conference in Beijing, 90 countries participated. Meaning what? 90 countries consider themselves as civilizations. They want to redefine their whole national identity. They want to restructure their national models. Now China will guide them. China के पास क्या experience है? But it understands this is the way I have to challenge the Western hegemony. We want to challenge Western hegemony, but we don't invest on ideas. So coming back to that point, even today, we have to work on political models. We have to work on governance models. We have to work on the very identity of nations. Big question today. What is happening in London streets you are seeing? Maybe sometimes it may turn against us also. We are also big time immigrants to many countries. They may say that, no, you are not our people, you go back. But some kind of churning is happening. How do you streamline that churning? India can give those ideas, but if only we rise as an important power first, and then we are ready to give those ideas. We have done that work in our country through our think tanks, through our intellectual institutions. We have done that work. That is where we are still lacking big time.
That ideas, if we want to contemporize, contextualize, again, I'm bringing back you to the same question. Geopolitics and geostrategic globally is changing very fast. You have been talking about certain changes. In those changes, at the challenge I find is at one point we have to somewhere adapt with those changes, and at the same time we have to revisit our original ideas for the contemporary challenges. How this can happen? First about the global challenges, and second about recontextualizing ideas.
Big topic, but I just touch only 2 points. One is what will happen to the global scenario. We created something called globalism, not globalization. Globalization was an economic model, is an economic model. Globalism in the sense that we are all part of a big universe. We created that United Nations organization to give that sense of globalism. We are part of a big globe. That United Nations infrastructure, that edifice is collapsing today. General Assembly is happening now. Next week it is starting. Nobody bothers about it anymore. Half of them are not going. Those who don't have any work, they are now going to, those who are not going, those who are going are all not workless. I'm not saying that. But generally there is no interest today in United Nations because it has outlived its utility. Something else has to take its place because we are in a very changed world. United Nations was an institution created by the dominant Western powers. That domination continued until now. Today, countries are standing up and saying, I don't accept your domination. Now, a new model has to come in. Who will give that model? The new model has to be regional multilateralism. Regional groupings should rise. They have to come together. Each region is today independent. Each region has its own challenges. Regional multilateralism is going to be the future in 21st century. BRICS will play a big role. Shanghai Cooperation Organization will play a big role. ASEAN will play a big role. European Union will play a big role. African Union will play a big role. Now, these have to find their voice in United Nations, future United Nations organization. That model has to be developed. India has to play a role. For playing that role, India, first of all, has to build its own regionalism. Have we been able to build that regionalism? What is our situation with our neighbors? What is our situation with countries which have such strong civilizational, cultural affinity with us? I just give you one example. It's not criticism. It's out of concern that I am highlighting this. Most of us here would have gone to Singapore multiple times. And you ask any government, any chief minister, in his chief ministership would have gone at least 3-4 times to Singapore. I have nothing against Singapore. Singapore is a very vibrant, thriving city and all that. A city of 6 million people, small city, done well, trade-wise. But do you know, Indonesia has 24 crore people, or 25 crore people, 250 million population, quintessentially Indian civilizational influence you will see at the every street corner. Very much friendly with India. There are provinces which are Hindu provinces. Bali, Denpasar is the province. Denpasar is Hindu majority, 96% Hindu population province. How many times do we go to Jakarta? Because we have certain westward home mindset. We see in Singapore that culture, Western culture thriving. We find it easy to go there. We don't find easy to go to Jakarta. When I say we, if you take the data of our official visits also, you will find the same. 1:10. 10 times Singapore jayenge, ek bar Jakarta jayenge. If you don't build your own neighborhood, if you don't build your own regionalism, you can't play a big role in the world. If you are isolated one country, you will be facing a lot of challenges. So India has to invest on regionalism. That has to happen from everybody. This is one aspect of politics, geopolitics, global geopolitics. It's a big subject. Second aspect, I come to one simple, only one example. Again, a very big topic. We are entering into a very tech-driven world. Although technology has been a reality for last 40, 50 years, not today. But we passed through low tech to mid tech to high tech. We entered what is called deep tech area. In deep tech area, the biggest question is about human survival. Do you know, today there are robots which can run faster than us, which can do things better than us, efficiently than humans. They do. I mean, today China is mastering the robo technology wherein they will tomorrow do difficult surgeries also on patients. Then why do we need doctors? Why do we need humans in the first place? We are entering into an era of meta-humans. Now, these meta-humans are created not by any aliens. It is created by us. We are creating them. Has anyone passed and asked the question, how far should it go? Did we ask? Artificial intelligence, robotics, quantums, all these new technologies. I'm myself a technology student, so I'm very much for technology. I'm very fond of technological gadgets. But still, we all have to sit up and ask this question, how far? Do you know who asked that question? Vatican. In 2021, Vatican hosted a summit on AI, artificial intelligence. And they called their bishops, their religious scholars, they called IBM, they called NVIDIA, they called Microsoft, all these big technology companies which are developing artificial intelligence. Priest sat, day-long session, it's available on the internet. Rome call for AI ethics, artificial intelligence ethics. It's available on the internet. Please check it out. One message that Pope gave, very interestingly, was, you are saying AI is good for the humanity. Okay, whatever is good for the humans, let us do it. We will welcome it. But make sure man is supreme. One sentence, such a potent sentence. Ultimately, who will decide the future of this mankind or this humanity? Man or machine? We have already entered halfway through the era where machines will decide the future of humans. Maybe you should allow it. If you want to allow it, allow it. Let it happen. Okay, 45,000 years ago, humans were not there. Homo Neanderthals were there, different type of humans. They extinguished, Homo sapiens came. We are all Homo sapiens. We came. Maybe our time is over. 15, 20, 30, 50 years बाद हम नहीं रहेंगे, हमारे स्थान में मेटा ह्यूमंस रहेंगे, half body, half machine रहेंगे. Be reconciled to it. Otherwise, think about it. What is the trend line where we should stop? Let me end by just saying one thing. Technological evolutions are not new in this world. Many evolutions happened. Humanity upgraded itself time to time. But every such upgradation happened, there was some philosopher standing up and debating over good and bad of it. Industrial revolution happened. There was a Karl Marx. We may or may not like his philosophy, his communism ideology. But there's a guy who stood up and said, okay, you are bringing machines. What will happen to human hands? What will happen to my labor? Somebody intervened. That intervention has led to so many reforms that led to whole idea of labor rights. Today, who is intervening? Such a big transformation is happening. Who is deciding? Elon Musk is deciding. Sundar Pichai is deciding. Satya Nadella is deciding how we should live. No philosopher is around. That is where India's role is. We can play, but we are completely oblivious of this. What is happening in the outside world, we are completely nonplussed. We are oblivious. So we have to wake up. I'm not making any criticism. I'm only making certain appeal to look inwards, introspect. Where are we? When things happen, things are happening good, then you have a Modi at the center and country is progressing well, there is a tendency to develop that lethargy. Sab kuch theek hai. Sab kuch theek hai. But what about the future? So on that, we have to really probably invest. That has been the tradition of this country. Every time these Kumbh Melas happen, our scholars used to sit and deliberate on the future. We are not doing that. We are only talking about past. So probably it is time we have to sit up and think about the future seriously.
Deen Dayal ji that time also spoke about 7 M's when he spoke about Arthayam. Men, machines, markets. Now, in the post-globalization scenario, if and we have to think about future, if we have to think about ideas, what are the 3 steps that you would suggest as a public intellectual, as a person who has worked in philosophy, in politics, in think tank business, in strategizing? What would you suggest as 3 important steps that would allow us to step into future without disconnecting from the past?
On a lighter note, 3 things if you want me to say. Next 10 years, economy, economy, economy. This is very critical for India. India cannot be just a $5 trillion economy. I was so thrilled when Prime Minister said it from the Red Fort this 15th August, that not 5 trillion, but 10 trillion. Now this 10 trillion is possible only and only if you unleash the animal force that is existing in the grassroots in this country. You have such wonderful force available at the grassroots. You are not unleashing it. You are actually trampling upon it. 3 things have to change in India. Bureaucracy has to change. Judiciary has to change. Our regulatory institutions have to change for our economy to be really unleashed. These 3 changes have to be taken very seriously. I wrote about it. Prime Minister said in 2021, in 2022, Independence Day speech, Red Fort speech, that country should shed the remaining relics of the British colonialism. The biggest relic that is still surviving, not only surviving, thriving, is Indian bureaucracy. Of course, judiciary, the whole system, the governance system, the Westminster model we inherited, surviving, thriving. Not individual bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are very good people. I'm not saying bureaucrats are bad. The system itself is bad. It's such a system where you put somebody, the head of a globalization department for 2 years, consider he is the expert, and after 2 years he is transferred to Gobar gas, there also he is expert. How is it possible? Ma'am teaches physics probably. You send her to, history. Can she teach history? But our IAS officer can do everything. Not that he is bad. No, they are good. That is a system. That is a system we inherited. We tried lateral entry. Modi ji tried lateral entry to bring in experts. It doesn't work. It didn't work. The system has developed a mechanism by which after 2 years you will be automatically expelled. You will be thrown out. So you need to work seriously on these reforms. It's at the bureaucracy level. Second and most important, I feel, is this country needs greater decentralization. When I say decentralization, allow people greater role in its economic activity. I would blame all of us also. We talk a lot about temple being privatized, temple being released from government control. Although government controlled temples are only about 2 lakh in our country, about 200,000. India has 7 lakh temples, remember. Remaining 5 lakh are not in government control. What is the status of those temples? Nobody bothers. There is no puja, there is no pujari, there is no prasadam, there is nothing. We are not bothered. We fight about those 2 lakh temples which are controlled by government. I'm not saying government should control the temples, but have we been able to develop a model by which temples can be returned to society? When temples are returned, what is the guarantee that we don't fight over the control? Why I'm saying it is, in America, there are about 1,500 temples. 500 of them are in courts about who should control the temple. You need to have a model by which these big temples, whether it is Ujjain temple or your Hanuman temple here, these things, if they are given back to the people, how do you manage them? Have we developed a model? No, we have not developed a model. We only go to, private is karo, government is hatao. Need to develop it. Temple needs to do 5 functions. Make sure temples do these 5 functions. Half of government's burden will reduce. Temples have to provide food. Annam bahu kurvita. Temple's duty is wherever there is a temple, not a single person should go hungry. Ensure that temple can do that. Temple should give education. Make temples responsible for primary education in this country. Give that responsibility to temples. 3, temples should give health care. Basic health care, primary health. Trained pujaris who can take care of your stomach ache, your headache, your loose motions, your dysentery, your small ailments. Let him use Ayurveda. Let him use local medical techniques. Number 4, they have to be protecting our art forms. Lot of art forms are disappearing. When I say art forms, lot of culinary art is disappearing. Today we had lunch. How many Marathi dishes are there in this? Paneer took over. Paneer is a Punjabi dish. I'm not against Paneer. I am very fond of Paneer. But slowly, some homogenization will happen in food also. Many food items that your mother would have made it, my mother would have made it. My generation people don't know. My next generation, they don't actually know that such a food existed, such a subject existed. You are losing your things because everything you have centralized. Give it to the temple to ensure those art forms are protected. Finally, temples should teach spirituality, values, ethics. Now, give these powers to temples and see what a wonder they can create. Why don't we decentralize it? Why don't we allow our villagers to take up more responsibility in that what I said about Kashmir? Funds, not just funds, but functions and functionaries also. Allow them. You have wise people in villages, corrupt people in state capitals. The higher you go up, the more corrupt you are because nobody is going to question you. In a village, you have something beyond your means. Everybody will know. Yeah, this will have done something, some gadbad. इसलिए इसके पास कार आ गया. नहीं तो कार कहां से आता है? कार आ गया तो आपको फिर शादी में आपके लड़के को कोई लड़की नहीं देगा. There is a community pressure. So allow them powers. They will handle them better than allow all powers in state capital, central capital, or district capital in the hands of district collectors. District collectors today, some collectors have to implement 300 programs. 300. Why? How can any officer humanly handle 300 programs? One collector once told me in Kashmir, one of his jobs is to keep a count of the number of goats in his district. Goats गिनने का काम कलेक्टर को क्यों है? क्योंकि there is a central government project for goats. So central government fund दे रहा है, इसलिए हिसाब रखो. We have centralized so much. So India needs to work on these things so that it can create a strong economy. And strong economy means strong technology. It has to be whole of the nation approach. This is the last point I wanted to make. It has to be not just Prime Minister Modi priority. Of course, it's priority for Prime Minister. He is actually working day in and day out. He is actually giving many ideas to people. But it has to be a whole of the nation approach. Whole of the nation approach India has to take. And मैं भी थोड़ा romantic हूँ. So as a romantic, I sometimes make one suggestion. that we as Indians have to give up this obsession with catching up. Meaning, we want to catch up with the rest of the world. Nothing wrong. We have to catch up. But उस catching up में खुश होके नहीं रहना है. Like for example, do you know when did the first metro run in the world? 1860s. हमारे यहाँ अभी मेट्रो आ रहा है तो हम खुश हो रहे हैं. First bullet train ran in Japan in 1964. 2025, we are still struggling to get our bullet train. We have to get these things. This is what is called catching up. We have to catch up in these things. But can some of us think in terms of going ahead of the curve? How do we go ahead of the curve? How do we create that thing which world doesn't know? It didn't exist in the world. Something that I create, world will follow. In this, we need to think seriously. Our industry, our people have to think seriously. That is where I say it has to be whole of the nation approach. Our corporates have to invest heavily in these areas. I'm very sorry to say, in India, research is a non-existent activity. Whole of our research budget is keval 0.65% of our GDP. 75,000 crores only. IBM spends, one company spends 80,000 crores on R&D. One company. $1 billion they spend. $100 billion they spend. 80,000 crores. हम 15,000 crore R&D पे खर्च कर रहे हैं. So India has to increase its R&D investment manifold. When I say India, not just the government of India, the corporates. I can tell you the story of corporates. India needs massive research into how it can use its critical minerals. Critical mineral refining technology in the whole world, only one country has it. It is China. So even if you have critical minerals in India, without critical minerals, any modern gadget cannot work. But that critical mineral, you can mine it, you can excavate it. You can't use it because you don't have the processing technology. Why not our Indian industry investing on research of processing technologies? इंडिया का बड़े बड़े स्टील मेजर्स है जिनका बैलेंस शीट इज 1,50,000 crores. I have seen this balance sheet by the way. उनका R&D spending 44 crores है. How can you justify it? With that kind of research, that kind of innovation, how do you go ahead of the curve? You will perpetually be following. वो कुछ करेगा, उनको कैचअप करोगे, कैचअप करेगा, वाह 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 हम भी कर लिया, ऐसा बोलोगे. वो करना है. That we have to do. So India has to invest heavily in its R&D. For that, it has to be a whole of the nation approach. मैम वाइस चांसलर्स वगैरह बैठे हैं. Academic side, where is the research? Where are papers? Where are papers that are citable? You know, there is a category called you produce a paper that has to be cited. मैंने कह रहा था, मैं एक IIT में था तो एक प्रोफेसर मेरे पास आया, सर मेरा तो 110 पेपर्स है. मैं तो शॉक हो गया, मैं तो कोलैप्स होने वाला था. कोई अपने जीवन में 110 रिसर्च पेपर्स लिख सकता है तो वो पेपर नहीं लिख रहा है, पैम्फलेट लिख रहा है. यार, one paper requires 1 year of hard research. How can you produce 110 papers? Obviously, you produce it. It's not citable because there's nothing new in it. India has to work on all these things. That is why I'm saying it has to be a whole of the nation approach. Our academic institutions, our corporates, our political system, our intellectuals, our think tanks, our media, we all have to really think seriously. Then probably, what Prime Minister says, that Viksit Bharat and consequently Vishwaguru, we will be able to reach there.
Thank you very much, Ram Madhav ji. It was a shake-up kind of session for all of us. Since morning, we spoke about Arthayam, contemporarization, and the financial matters and relevance of Ekat Manav Darshan. But you are the one who spoke something about what we need to do forward. I know Ram Madhav ji, since yesterday in Ahmedabad, Dharma Dhamma conference of India Foundation is going on, but still today he specially came for this session and spared his time to be with us and discuss his passionate ideas about present and future of Bharat. Thank you very much for coming on Organiser platform and gracing the occasion. Thank you.